Like, have him sit down. How are you?
I'm filling in for Bill Bailey tonight. How are you doing? Nice. How are you? I'm here. Tell him I'm here. Eggley Engineering? I am. Yeah. What gave it away? Well, it could have been like from a cow founding or something.
Okay. Oh, perfect. What were you saying? I said,
I'm liking the beard. Go ahead.
Just leave it. She put the clock on. Sure. I haven't seen you since it was. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
the guy arrested.
Tim, I assume you're going to start it. Come in.
We're going to open the meeting. Swearing in is first.
All right, that's when we'll
We're going to do the resolution. I can also start to see things going first.
Tom, for you.
Proclamation. Bagpipes and we're going to walk in.
Good. How about you?
How are you?
How are you? I'm filling in Dave Lafferty for Bill. Yeah. You too.
You know what? We're going to talk about Bailey said he knew about it.
Yeah, I can talk enough about it.
You want to slow down?
I got the placards.
Are we on the air? Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the Borough Council meeting for Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 to order. The new police chief may remove some of the loud people in here. I don't know. Notice of this meeting was published in the official newspapers and prominently posted in Borough Hall and filed with the municipal clerk in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. We'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Staff.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Can we have a roll call, please, Laura?
Sure. Mayor Koch.
Here.
Mr. Carnival is not here this evening. Mr. Staff.
Here.
Mr. Tashian. Here. Mr. Kern.
Here.
Mr. Gullo.
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Okay, just a little housekeeping before the parade of police officers and bagpipers come in. The next item on the agenda is the swearing in of both the police promotions and fire appointments. So we are going to start with the police department, starting with Captain Egg, followed by Chief Gangemi. I have a proclamation that I and the council have passed recognizing various police officers from receiving PBA citations. I'm going to read that out of order because I know all the police are going to want to take off as quick as they can after the meeting. After that is done and things calm down, I'm going to ask Commissioner Gullo to help me swear in our new firefighters. I'm very competent at finishing my own sentences. Thank you. All right, so I don't know whether... Anthony, go get your father. Well, they were all coming down. There you go. Okay. We are first going to start with Resolution 25-162, whereas the Public Safety Committee hereby recommends the promotion of, oh boy, hold on here. Victor Egg to Captain of Police for the Borough of Oradell, and where Victor Egg was hired as an Oradell police officer on June 17, 1998, promoted to sergeant on March 27, 2013, and promoted to lieutenant on September 27, 2016. And whereas the mayor and council are supportive of said promotion and direct the necessary borough officials to draft and execute terms of employment with Captain Egg. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Oradell that Victor Egg is hereby appointed as captain of police for the Borough of Oradell, effective immediately. So ask Commissioner staff to help me swear in Captain Egg. Let's go that way. It's right here. Okay, why don't we stand over here so everybody can see. Vic, if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Victor Egg,
I, Victor Egg,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the State of New Jersey,
and of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all of the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
Captain of the Oradell Police Department,
Captain of the Oradell Police Department,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Captain.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So as we do with each swearing in, Victor, we have a few words that the commissioner would like to offer up. So Captain Egg, I would like to thank you for your 27 years of service to the borough. Captain Egg grew up in Oradell and is a proud graduate of Oradell Public and Riverdale High School, where he was a competitive swimmer and an Eagle Scout with Troop 36. He received a bachelor's degree from Rowan University in Law and Justice Studies before joining the force. Victor later earned a Master of Arts in Human Resources and Training and Development from Seton Hall University while employed as a full-time officer, achieving a 3.8 GPA. Service runs in the Egg family. His father, a member of the Oradell Fire Department, undoubtedly influenced his son to continue serving the community as a member of the Oradell Police Department in 1998, after leaving a corporate life at Bankers Trust. He graduated from the Bergen County Police Academy also in 1998, where he received the Iron Man Award for being the top physically fit recruit. And as I like to say, well done, Tony Stark. As Victor grew in the department, so did his responsibilities. First as a sergeant, then as a patrol lieutenant, next as an administrative lieutenant, and later as lieutenant officer in charge, and today as captain. He is currently member of the Bergen County Rapid Deploy Force. Having worked closely with Victor Egg over the past couple months, I know he understands what it means to be a servant leader, putting the department and the community before himself. He leads by example, with humility, empathy, and a most clear sense of responsibility for all of those that he serves. While not on duty, Victor and his wife Andrea can be found attending swim meets, supporting their son Peyton, or traveling across the country in their RV. Victor Egg, on behalf of the Mayor, Council, and Public Safety Committee, I congratulate you on your achievement in being named Captain of the Oradell Police Department. Thank you, sir.
Next, we will move on to Resolution 25-163. Whereas the Public Safety Committee hereby recommends the promotion of David L. Gangemi to Chief of Police for the Borough of Oradell. And whereas David Gangemi was hired as an Oradell police officer on January 6, 1999, promoted to sergeant on September 27, 2016, promoted to lieutenant on March 22, 2022. Whereas the mayor and council are supportive of said promotion, direct the necessary borough officials to draft and execute terms of employment with Chief Gangemi. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the borough of Oradell appoint David L. Gangemi as chief of police effective immediately. Michael, you can help me swear in the chief. Raise your right hand. Your other right hand. All right. Are you guys ready or what? I, David Lawrence Gangemi, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all of the duties of the office of Chief of the Oradell Police Department, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations, Chief. Oh. Guess it's not official until you sign this. Man on a mission. Let's give it to Laura.
Thank you, sir. Chief Gangemi, thank you for your 26 and a half years of dedicated service to the Borough of Oradell. A lifelong resident of Oradell, Dave truly has an impressive resume of service to our community. A proud graduate of Oradell Public and Riverdale High School as well, Dave went on to earn a bachelor's degree from St. Peter's University in 2008 while serving as a patrolman with the Oradell Police Department. There is a common theme in these two gentlemen we honor today, a deep generational commitment to serving Oradell. That sense of responsibility runs strong in the Gangemi family. As a young man, Dave watched his father lead the Oradell Fire Department, setting the high bar for leadership and service. That torch was passed to both Dave and his brother, who, like their father, each served as chief of the Oradell Volunteer Fire Department. I suppose you can now officially say that we can call you Chief, as I imagine your mother, who is wise as ever, often reminds you, from whom much is given, much is also expected. Dave joined the Oradell Police Department in 1999, right after graduating from the Bergen County Police Academy. And recently I had the pleasure of watching his son Anthony graduate from the same academy and begin his own journey of service in the Maywood Police Department. One thing is certainly clear. The Gangemi family is committed to protect and serve. Is not just a profession, but a family tradition. Over the years, Chief Gangemi has been a consistent voice for thoughtful leadership. He speaks often about the need of our community and how the department can evolve to better serve all residents. He uses words like leadership, collaboration, teamwork, accountability, empathy, mentor, and problem solving in the real time. And he doesn't just say them, he lives them. I often speak about servant leadership, and for Chief Gangemi and his family, servant leadership isn't a slogan, it is a way of life. It means leading by example, putting the community first, and lifting others up in quiet strength and steady guidance. It's not about the title, it's about the trust. And Dave Gangemi has earned that trust every day for over the last 2.5 decades. I asked him earlier today, what is his proudest moment serving the borough, expecting to capture details on a life saved. His response was, proudest moment was coordinating and bringing home U.S. Army Sergeant David Salinas, Jr. of the 101st Eagle Dust-Off Company. Chief Gangemi, congratulations on this well-deserved promotion. The borough is in good hands.
Thank you, Commissioner. So one last thing. It's a very police-filled night here. I would ask Chief Gangemi, Captain Egg, and the following officers that may be here. P.O. Nicostuni, Tom D'Amato, Paul Kochansky, Frank Stefano, Andrew Hartopoulos, Kevin Burnell, and Dan O'Leary. If you all can come down to the front, I want to read this proclamation recognizing the citations you recently received from the PBA so everybody can hear your story. So we have a very exemplary police department here in Oradell. And there's usually many things that go on that people don't know about because they don't need to, and situations are sensitive, and people sometimes are at their most vulnerable when they need help. But these gentlemen standing before you here were recently recognized by the PBA with a bunch of citations that they were presented. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about that and read this proclamation, so please bear with me. Whereas the sworn officers of the Oradell Police Department play an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of citizens in our community, and whereas the members of the Oradell Police Department maintain a deep commitment to continued training and skill enhancement that reflect an elite agency ready to serve and protect, and whereas the governing body would like to acknowledge recent citations presented to the officers for awards received as a result of their actions. Whereas Police Officer Nicholas Astuni and Police Officer Thomas D'Amato received a critical care citation for a response to a medical call. A resident severed his finger utilizing a power tool. The officers applied a tourniquet to control bleeding. However, were notified there were no BLS units available for at least 10 to 15 minutes. The officers decided that due to the injury, they would transport the individual quickly to the emergency room in their car, which resulted in the resident being able to have their fingers reattached. Whereas Police Officer Paul Kochansky and Police Officer Frank Stefano received a critical care citation for a response to a medical call at a local business where an individual was unresponsive and barely breathing. While assessing the situation and performing life-saving measures, officers discovered that the individual had overdosed. Officers utilized Narcan, resulting in the individual regaining consciousness and was transported to the emergency room for treatment. Whereas, now Chief David Gangemi received a Distinguished Community Service citation. Chief Gangemi spearheaded, while lieutenant, the effort to bring fallen soldier David Salinas back home to Oradell. Chief Gangemi arranged a full escort utilizing several agencies from Dover Air Force Base, Delaware, here to Oradell, New Jersey. A local procession was attended and an outpouring of the community showed their respects. And he also arranged for a return of David to his final resting place in Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C. Whereas Police Officer Andrew Hartopoulos and Police Officer Kevin Burnell received a critical care citation for a response to a medical call. The officers utilized Narcan, resulting in the individual regaining consciousness. And whereas Police Officer Dan O'Leary received a critical care citation for a response on a medical call, Officer O'Leary applied a tourniquet to an individual who was severely losing blood due to a complication from a surgery. Now therefore be it resolved that I, James Koth, Mayor of the Borough of Oradell, acknowledge the quick response and skilled call to action of these heroes that forever impact the citizens of our borough. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Oh, picture. Mike.
Want me to take the picture or you want me in the picture?
Maybe we'll stand up behind them. There's not a lot of room. No, we'll fall off. Goddamn chairs. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. All right, I'm going to take a 5-minute recess to allow the room to clear because I know everybody really wants to stay and hear the rest of our business tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Fake news.
Fake news. Let's swear the firemen in while we're here as well.
He's out of roll. You might just keep.
Next, we have before the council resolution 25-170. James, you want to come forward with Daniel and Daniel first?
Hey, kid.
Hey. Hey, congrats. Thank you.
Daniel, if you'll raise your right hand, repeat after me. Come on, hey, get that crowd under control. I, Daniel Gonzalez, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of firefighter with the Oradell Volunteer Fire Department, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Daniel, congratulations. Thank you.
Oh, we gotta get a quick picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to get in it?
Picture this view.
That's one on the website.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. Congratulations. I just need you to sign right here.
Yeah, absolutely. We just had that in. Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Take care.
Thank you.
Next before the council is Resolution 25-171, the appointment of Henry, help me out. Obakevich, thank you. That's a regular fireman. Why don't we, you go there, Mom can come here with the Bible. Mom. It's all on stage. Of course. Henry, if you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Henry Obakevich, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of firefighter of the Oradell Volunteer Fire Department, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Henry, congratulations.
Congrats, buddy. Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Family picture.
Hi, congratulations. Congratulations.
Now they can all
You do a sign. sign your name, and we'll do the rest. Thank you. Thank you. Sounds good. Thank you.
Roger, did you need to do your thing?
Good.
Okay.
Appreciate the 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good. How are you?
I always assume.
I know.
Okay.
No, we're good. Thank you.
I had my hip replaced 3 months ago, so I was on one.
So while we're waiting for the room to clear, let's actually vote on these things now. Resolution 25-162, promotion of Victor Egg to police captain. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 25-163, promotion of David Gangemi to chief of police. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Resolution 25-170, appointment of Daniel Gonzalez as a firefighter with the Oradell Volunteer Fire Department. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, and Resolution 25-171, appointment of Henry Pobkowitz as a firefighter with the Oradell Volunteer Fire Department.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call,
Mr.
please.
Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay.
Want me to go?
Yeah.
Move these guys down, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Where's got it? Bring it all upstairs.
Thank you, Roger. Next on the agenda is to read the proclamation for Lieutenant Commander Black. Bear with me. Whereas Hugh David Black was born in Oradell, New Jersey on June 29, 1903, and whereas he was appointed to the U.S. Naval Academy in 1922, graduated in 1926, and served on board the USS Richmond between the years 1926 and 1928, and whereas Mr. Black was then an officer on board the battleship New York, the gunboat Asheville, and the destroyers Parrott, Riesel, and Montgomery, and whereas Lieutenant Junior Grade Black was assigned to the Naval Training Station in San Diego, California in 1933, and then served on board the destroyer Upshur and commanded the minesweeper Lark from 1935 to 1938. And whereas Lieutenant Black had duty with the Bureau of Navigation in Washington, D.C. in 1938, and later attended Harvard University for 2 years. And whereas from 1940 to 1941, Lieutenant Black was executive officer of the new destroyer Benson until March of 1941, when he took command of the destroyer Jacob Jones. And whereas Lieutenant Commander Hugh D. Black lost his life on February 28, 1942, along with 131 other naval sailors, when the Jacob Jones was sunk just miles off the coast of Cape May, New Jersey, by a German submarine. And whereas the City of Cape May's Mayor and Council has proposed erecting a monument to honor the U.S. Navy sailors who gave their lives in the Battle of the Atlantic during the Second World War aboard the Jacob Jones, and whereas the proposed location of this monument is a site on Beach Avenue near Howard Street in Cape May, New Jersey, and is being funded through donations raised through a nationwide campaign. And whereas the Cape May Mayor and Council feels that this monument will ensure that future generations understand the price of freedom, the risk our nation being exposed to a foreign adversary, and the enduring strength of the American spirit by telling the story of the brave sailors of the Jacob Jones. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, James Koth, Mayor of the Borough of Oradell, hereby support Cape May, New Jersey's proposed monument to honor these heroes who gave the ultimate sacrifice, specifically our hometown's own Lieutenant Commander Hugh D. Black. And for those who may bring the correlation, as Commander Black Drive is named after Hugh Black. Next on the agenda.
Mayor, Sam, we could forward the original to him either after the meeting or. I don't
Okay.
know if you wanted to go.
You want it now, Sam? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pat Schubert asked me to
Absolutely.
accept.
Next item on the agenda is discussion. Item A, Rent Leveling Board. Councilman Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. So this came to my attention just a few weeks ago from a resident who I have forwarded. You should all have in your packets some good data about what our neighboring towns have in terms of whether it's rent leveling or rent caps or rent controls, et cetera. The genesis of it is really, as I see it, is there a way, certainly we're all here for free markets, et cetera, but is there a way to protect, as his letter, I think, is well written, protect people such as our seniors who grew up in town, may have lived here for 70, 80 years, and now live in one of our apartments. As we know, we're all, this whole state, if certainly, and hopefully not our town, but getting overrun with apartments, and we're on fixed income, and landlords, et cetera, have the ability to seemingly, again, I'm not an expert, but at will raise rents while folks are in the building. So, that example there, many towns, again, as you can see from the notes, River Edge right next door has 4 or 5% cap. Other towns, 2-3%. There's many towns that have it. I guess many states have it. New Jersey doesn't have a state ordinance, but it's up to the towns. So it's something that I think us as fiduciaries that we need to discuss. And I got to think that there's got to be a way that we can word such an ordinance to keep our landlords happy. And again, whether it's multifamily units and whatever that rate that may be, if it's cost of living, if it's X percent, but really to, just on a human level, if somebody is in an apartment and arbitrarily each year, and they've been there for quite a while, they can't afford it on fixed income and inflation, et cetera, I get that. So it's really just something to get on our radar. I realize the last few meetings we've had a couple of owners come in front of us, but if we are going to, I don't think we have that many units, but if we are going to be, having a hell of a lot more units in town, then it's something that we should think about. So that's really the reason for that there. And when I brought it up the first time, our attorney, Mr. Bailey, said he did have some good experience in his various other towns in Inglewood and et cetera, and he would shed some light. His colleague here is tonight. I don't know if we should postpone this until Mr. Bailey's back, but I would certainly take lead if Mr. Bailey, our attorney, does have some experience there. The last thing I would want to do is, have to have a board and a lot of red tape and a lot of those types of things. But I think you can all get the gist of why I'm speaking about it here. That's really it. So I'd love to hear folks' comments. And again, I totally respect free markets and the owners and all those kind of things, but there's got to be some way. What's the number one issue is affordability. Number two, pedestrian safety. So this would address that.
Comments from the council?
I have to abstain from any conversation on this just because of my profession.
I'm as well. I think we'll probably wait till Bill comes back.
The other point would be, in your packet, it notes the numerous towns that have such an ordinance on their books. And so I'm assuming that if our neighbors see some reason to have it, something that we should consider. I'm not sure how it's, and it's certainly the devil's in the details.
I think one of the dynamics of some of the towns that you provided information from is their housing stock is very different than ours. They have a huge base of apartments and multiple dwelling units that, may be the reason why the landscape is different there. I agree we should have opportunities for seniors to downsize and remain in town. I don't know that stifling landlords' investments, and I say that assuming that they would want to invest in their assets, right, is a good thing for those assets within the borough and their upkeep. We've certainly heard from a few folks about the pros and cons, but do you see this applying a blanket, Tom, to any rental in town?
No, not at all. Again, I'm not.
How would you suggest?
You know what? I mean, maybe I'm looking for ideas. Maybe, and again, if there are other towns, I realize if it's right next door to us is River Edge, and maybe they have 1,000 apartments down there, or whatever they have. So maybe that's it. But maybe that I can do. We can do some more work and chat with those folks and see how it works down there. And again, lean on our borough attorney, maybe to do some more work and maybe bring it up at another time. But certainly we have a handful, but as we all know what we're facing here, maybe we can get ahead of that. And again, just in that first instance there that you can see on your paper, is there something, can we do better than that of a senior in the apartment and your rent is X, next year it's up $1,000, next year it's up $1,000. I lived in town for 80 years, and I realized that the landlord, if that landlord takes off his landlord hat and puts on his human hat, that's all we're asking here. There's probably some way, and I'm not sure what that is, and maybe we need to do some more work in the wording. Does it need to? I agree with your point. Some other towns have flooded with apartments. Up and down, but that seems to be, unfortunately, the way things are going. So that's the reason for that, and maybe we can have some more feedback from some of the residents, but on both sides. I'm certainly with you.
Well, I would just like to, comment, and I think we need to do more research in finding out how it affects landlords and developers in particular financially.
Sure.
I've seen this happen in New York City before. It's a great program, but however, over time, it really does handcuff the developers and landlords because they have these apartments. They won't invest in them because, to invest in, with a cost-benefit analysis for investing capital into a particular unit that is highly regulated, they don't do so. And in fact, some of these particular units, they end up vacant. Just because they can't put the money in.
Sure. I mean, I totally get that, and the last thing I want to do is create kind of bureaucracy. Maybe there's a way to simplify it, right? I get it, and we don't want to discourage anybody from, and I don't think that would happen. So that's maybe it's to chat with some of our owners and say, hey, I would think maybe it's to come up with something realistic. The last thing, we don't want. Caps, et cetera, and but just something to. How can we help those folks? Is there a way? Maybe there isn't a way. I don't know. Maybe that's the answer. Really.
Okay. So to be continued.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd love to get some time with the attorney and see what's. And again, maybe he's in more densely populated areas, but yeah. All right, we'll keep working on it, and I appreciate your time there, and more to come.
Thank you, Councilman Kelly.
Welcome.
Next item up is for discussion on whether or not the council thinks that we should put a non-binding referendum public question on the general election ballot for a municipal open space tax. So I'll just read the interpretive statement quickly. This non-binding referendum will permit elected officials of the borough of Oradell to gauge the sentiment of the voters concerning the creation of a municipal open space trust fund. This fund would consist of a special municipal tax, the proceeds of which would be used exclusively for acquisition and/or rehabilitation of open space as determined by the mayor and council and as permitted by law. If this referendum is approved by the voters, the Borough of Oradell may impose an annual tax levy not to exceed 1 cent per $100 of assessed valuation. For 2025, this would mean a house assessed at $792,000 would pay $79.20 per year in additional taxes for this purpose. At present, the total amount of tax revenue that is projected to be raised by the open space tax would be approximately $209,000. So this is dedicated funding, much in the way the library gets dedicated funding. Not as significant as the library does, but would allow us to invest more in our recreation and open spaces through capital rehabilitation, may save us money on financing certain improvements. This is a non-binding question. This was done probably 12 years ago. The council put this question on the ballot. It did not succeed. I think part of that is it wasn't explained well enough, and the benefits were not explained, and there was really no campaign to provide information to folks around how this could be a benefit. So I'm not saying that this is something we should do. It's a tool that we have before us. One thing to consider is that we will qualify, towns with a municipal open space tax qualify for a higher level of funding with the state DEP Green Acres program when they go to apply for grants. So that's just one thing to consider. And this is, I believe, set annually, right? The rate?
It would, I think you make the decision on up to a cent.
Right.
I'd have to check with the attorney's office whether that can fluctuate or it's a cent each year.
So
the full cent or...
Yeah, my experience with the county is that the governing body sets the rate annually in January as part of their reorganization. This, again, is for 1 cent per $100. So it's just out there, we have a deadline to get questions on the ballot that's rapidly approaching, which necessitates our discussion of this tonight. This may be the time, this may not be the time to ask this question, but I just wanted to put it on.
What's the deadline for the ballot?
So unfortunately, the deadline falls the Friday before our next meeting. So if this is like the first step of whether, I guess if you pass the resolution, I guess the attorney could weigh in this evening. The deadline for me to submit it to the county clerk is August 8th. I don't know the logistics of whether you pass it tonight and then look at more metrics and decide one way or another whether it has to be submitted or not. Or you could rescind that resolution at the next meeting, should you choose not to.
The reality is this is requesting public opinion. That's all we're doing.
Right,
here.
you're just gauging.
And even if
question.
even if the majority of people said yes, you should do this,
You don't have
there are still other steps that would need to be done. This does not become effective by way of that ballot question. The council would have to introduce ordinances and change how we approach this to establish the fund,
Correct.
probably in the new year. So the council could take action. The council doesn't, even if it were yes, the council is not required to take action. Correct. It's a non-binding question on both sides of the fence.
I'll start it off. I think it's a good idea. I think it's great to get the temperature of the community to see if they support it. As we did it in the past, as Mayor said, I don't think that it was properly understood, whereas 12 years ago, fair share housing did not have the importance that it does today. So I do think this is a very proactive and positive approach that we're taking with open space in Oradell, so I'm supportive of it.
Mayor, is your feeling with these types of funds, let's just say a rounding error 200,000. I'm just thinking about bigger capital projects like the turf at DPAC that gets overused. So can we Does that include, like, we could apply that towards the repairing or the replacement of some of that field?
The council has to approve how the funds are spent.
Okay.
And it's not like our annual budget. It's not a use it or lose it. The fund accrues from year to year.
Okay.
So if you simply said, I want to replace the turf at DPAC every 10 years, you would accrue 200,000 times 10. That would be in the account on year 10, plus interest and other things. And that money's then available to do the project without having to finance it and pay the fees and
Okay.
interest
That's helpful.
and other things. So there is a lot of flexibility. I mean, look, recently in the last 2 years, we heard that the town should invest more in its recreational facilities. This is a tool at our disposal that would allow us to do that. And I think it's a logical thing to ask the townspeople, is this something that still interests you? And do you think this is a good tool to help do this? And is it cost-effective and efficient?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it, I'm all for it. More of acquisition and preservation, whether it's, again, as we know, we're kind of under siege and we don't have a whole lot of open space. So if I'd be in favor of it really to acquire and protect some of our properties, obviously, as well as, improve our recreation facilities. But that's really what attracts me there, is that if we have some properties that are targeted for additional development or additional density and traffic, et cetera, that we can kind of, turn that into whatever, parkland or conservation or passive. And again, whether it's historical, that is the way that I would look at it, and that I'd be very much in favor of that.
Yep. Yeah, it can be used for all those things, Tom.
I have a very quick question. Is there enough flexibility in there for the acquisition of property, generic?
Once you acquire the property through the program, it gets deeded parkland.
Never mind, I was going down
So
a different road.
then if you were to try and do something else with it, you face what's called a diversion through the DEP once
You've
it's on
answered
our
the question.
ROSI as parkland.
I just know the town has needs
Yeah,
for property.
Absolutely.
so.
But it is a preservation tool, as Tom
Yeah.
points out. It could be used for that as well.
I'm in support of it either way.
Okay.
But
So we have a resolution on consent that would authorize the submission of the question. We can vote on that when we get to that point in the agenda. It's 25-169. Okay. Next up, back to you, Councilman Kelly, the age-friendly assessment grant.
It is, yes. So as having the seniors under my watch, the grant opportunity was brought to my attention, I don't know, a month or so ago. Deadline is the 11th. In reading through it, it looked like something that would make some sense for the borough. I happen to, and Gene Martin is here tonight. Gene is now president of the Oradell Emerson Rotary. Gene is recently retired as head of Northern New Jersey Meals on Wheels. Gene and a colleague ran the basically exact same program in Westwood, I believe called Westwood for All Ages. This is, again, a state program, if you read through your notes there, which would completely fund a grant, so real no cost to the borough, just an age-friendly needs assessment and participation study, whether it's roundtables and surveys and some brainstorming on how we can serve our 55 and older population. So that's the reason for that. Jean is here. If you'd like to, Jean, again, to talk about what went on in Westwood, she's kind enough to show up tonight. So to me, it's a no-brainer, and to work with our borough staff, and I think it's a 9-month program, maybe fully funded. That would cover a stipend and whatever programs and mailings and surveys and roundtables, et cetera, that may be needed. There are many, many boroughs. I sent you Ridgewood also have similar programs and serving their communities. So to bring Oradell there.
Is there any match on the borough's part, Tom, or is this an outright grant?
Outright. So that's the good thing. I'm cognizant of the fact that borough staff are working diligently on many, many other grants, and that's the good thing. The lifting and knowing Gene personally and having Gene successfully run basically the same exact program in Westwood, I'm confident of that it would not be taxing the borough whatsoever. It just would be similarly, just upside.
Did our grant writer take a look at this yet? Or?
We have had a number of calls, and I think the grant application is pretty straightforward. Yes, and we do have another call scheduled for Thursday, but yes, we've had a number of calls with Hannah.
So Tom, just a question, how, we have a full-time director now that covers obviously 3 important parts for the borough: special events, recreation, and seniors. And then there's also a half-time resource. Have you outlined what would be different by getting this grant? Is it augmenting budget? Is it, I guess I just need a little bit more detail. I obviously read the information, but like at the end of the day, by getting this grant, what do you want to accomplish?
We're going to get feedback on what our residents would like to see, if it's a needs assessment, whether that's transportation, communication, activities, whatever that may be. That data, I'm going to guess, that assessment will assist in our staff how we can better serve our residents, right? And what would that lead into, and that network of what our other communities are doing that are working,
and then
to
what's
bring that
available.
here.
Yep.
And lead into, again, potentially other grant opportunities. So, yeah, it's just all a plus. And it's really to assist our efforts to serve. I think our seniors are now 25% of our residents, right? So, and that number's growing.
So it's basically a research vehicle
basically,
to create some infrastructure for programming going forward.
I think so, yeah.
And is it...
And it covers all the costs. Again, that costs money, as we know, postage and surveys and data, yep.
And is it 9 months, you said?
I believe it's 9, yes. Yep. Is that right, Gene? Is that what it was?
Sorry, I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's November through,
Paul is our assistant at the meetings, yeah. But yes.
it's November through June of next year.
So that's about, what is that, 7 or 8? Yeah.
7 months.
So I'm assuming at the end of June, yeah, we've done some wonderful work, and Gene will be kind of on staff and interacting with certainly working hand in hand with Dave and Tina and the rest
So
of
it's
the
basically creating a master plan for 55 and over for
seniors.
Oradell.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
For
for all
seniors.
ages,
Pretty good.
yeah.
Yes.
It was extremely successful in Westwood and Ridgewood. It's been 10 years. We started in 2015, and we've worked together. We've built a coalition of communities throughout northern New Jersey, and they took it to the state. Our information was taken to the state. We presented internationally. It was started by the World Health Organization. We've presented nationally. We've done good work. It's being followed by Rutgers University Department of Social Work. Transportation's involved, the Rutgers Transportation Unit. So there's lots of pieces that can assist. So as I said, I was 20 years with Meals on Wheels North Jersey, so this is my passion. And my husband wants me out of the house because I just retired.
Thanks, Gene. I mean, I would almost compare it to the Bergen Hub, if you're familiar with that, with Sustainable New Jersey. You know, what is that? A group of our neighbors, brainstorming, and that's what's going on. And I think that's where the state, it seems like, is encouraging boroughs, fully funding it, to go down this path. And that's the key. There's no, there's no hook for the borough. Sure.
My take on what's happened in New Jersey is we're losing valuable resources when our seniors move out of the state. And there's a lot, not just their talents and their gifts, but also they're taking their money out of the state. And it's
that's probably a good point. Yeah.
Great resources here in New Jersey. So if we can keep our seniors happy and in the state of New Jersey, it's a great thing.
Yeah, they're all going to where? Florida, I guess? Or,
Florida, South Carolina,
reasons,
North Carolina, Georgia.
Tax shelter states.
You're right. So or for housing, right? So that's what that'll come out of that, and that from our previous discussion, so, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's
it's
lots
all-
of information on housing for seniors too, with
Yeah.
senior housing initiatives that have
Yep,
happened in
and that'll
different
feed
towns.
right into housing, in this, right? Maybe help out our responses to some of our
So-
demands. Thanks, Gene.
I did ask the clerk to draft a resolution. If we wanted to add it to the consent agenda tonight, it would be Resolution 25-175, authorizing for the borough to apply for the grant. That's all it's authorizing at this point in time. The deadline is July 11th, so it is time sensitive. If the council wants to add this to the consent agenda and approve it, I will sign the paperwork and the grant writer can get the application in.
Thank you.
Anybody care to move this to the consent agenda?
Yeah, I'd be happy to move it to consent agenda. I see no harm in applying for
It's an application, I'm fine. It's okay. It's good. Let's move
Good?
forward.
Tom?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So Laura, can we add this 25-175, authorizing the borough to apply for the grant?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we received some correspondence. Council may remember, this is not a new thing, but prior councils have not done anything with it. There are more requests from residents to install these little libraries in front of their house. It's really, I guess, a book sharing thing. It's a way to recycle. It's a way to share. It's a way to have some social engagement to some degree through those efforts. We received an email from a resident asking permission to do this. In speaking with our zoning official, who does not have an opinion on the matter, but has advised the council would be required to create an ordinance that would allow this and determine setbacks and other zoning parameters that would allow it to exist. It is currently a non-prohibited use in a front yard according to our current zoning code. So if the council so chooses, perhaps this is something we refer to the ordinance committee to research further and come back to the full council with a recommendation and or a proposal.
Yeah, I would like to say that I'm open to this over the years. The only thing that I suggest is to make sure it's highly regulated so that people don't they're not crazy and start putting, giant boxes on their front lawn that's 10 feet high. I think we should make sure that, it's
Right.
something that makes sense.
That's what Steve's saying. He's saying you guys got to give me some rules so that this can operate by and fit within those parameters.
If I remember correctly, we actually did come up with some rules because of the one on Orchard.
I think that was done by like a standalone resolution.
Was
for
that one
person.
standalone that we gave? Okay. Thanks, Laura.
And then Rotary put one in at the train station, I believe it's still there, and that was also approved by the Mayor
That was
Council.
a separate.
But yeah, I think it's a no-brainer, and why wouldn't we have
So
it?
maybe if we're able to find those resolutions and share them with the ordinance committee, they can take this matter up and come back to the council with a recommendation.
Perfect.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, is there any old business to come before the council?
Mayor, if I may, just in terms of correspondence,
I didn't get there yet.
I thought we were doing the
Let's zip through
little
old and new
library
business
thing or
first.
something. Wasn't that on correspondence, or maybe I got the wrong?
Anybody have any new business?
I have a couple of things, but I'll be brief. Just being around at July 4th, et cetera, you get a chance to talk to residents. Mayor, I assume this is on your radar, but we were near the fields, and my daughters played softball there, and a couple of those Little League guys serving beer said, you know what, that it'd be great to have a dugout here, and the boys have it, and I would assume with these grants and our project coordinators that's on everybody's radar, but yeah, I guess it's 150 degrees, and they have to put on sunblock, so hopefully we can get that thing, that going. And that's probably, I guess that's about it, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other new business, I'll entertain a motion to open for public comment on non-agenda items only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, each speaker shall have one turn and not exceed 5 minutes. Please identify yourself at the microphone and remain courteous.
Good evening, Paul Tsunis. Rent leveling is important to keep bad landlords or greedy landlords from creating chaos in people's lives. I met a man in the library who lives here in Oradell, renting a one-bedroom apartment. Told me that he got a 13% increase, and then 6 months later, he got a 27% increase. So, market or free market keeps affordable housing out of reach for seniors. Landlords would have to show need for increases to sustain their properties. Something should be said about that. Now, I asked for a grant about the senior housing, not senior, the senior building. I still have not received anything. There is no paperwork or anything involved. I would like the lawyer to find out the exact grant and tell us whether it is expired by the statute of limitations or what is going on with it. And it's just hearsay right now. There's nothing in paper or written or anything, and I have not received an answer. And now for my crust of my things that I want to say tonight. By passing an ordinance for no underground parking or under building parking, we will restrict large projects of developers and curtail density of units and population in our town. So I call upon you, the mayor and council, to put this on a referendum in this year's election. Establish an ordinance forbidding or further development with underground parking or under building parking. I would like to follow our master plan also on a 15-foot buffer zone, which has never been put in ordinance. And I would like that to be also put into an ordinance between commercial and residential properties. I also would like an ordinance forbidding consolidation for lots in the B1 zone and the R11 zone. This will preserve the manor area and not allow large buildings. The council and police department should apply expeditiously to the county to lower the speed limit to 25 miles per hour in the B1 zone, where children of school age go to school and cross every day. And in addition, the B1 zone has traffic lights, and now there is a need for a traffic light since we are a B1 zone. This will slow traffic and add to safety in driving, as well as pedestrians crossing. 25 miles per hour translates to less severe damage to pedestrians. On another topic, on affordable housing, as dictated by the courts and the governor, along with the legislature, it is unattainable in Oradell. We are giving a 6-unit for affordable housing out of 38 units on this 420 project. What we need is 38 affordable units and 5 such buildings of 35 units. Instead of, if we were to continue this insane density, we come up with only 30 affordable units if we continue along the way that we're going now. So we're never going to reach that 177 units. Thus, we would have to build 29 such buildings of 35 units to get to 174 affordable units. Using this method, we need to build 1,015 units in Oradell, which would increase the town population by approximately 3,000. You can figure out what changes and additions to infrastructure, schools, and services would be required for that. So, I said my piece on this. I would hope that somebody will act on it. And I also want to say one more thing, and that is that something I saw in the paper today, that the legislature had earmarked $130 million for affordable housing to help organizations such as Habitat for Humanity in building units. Well, they took that money and used it for other purposes. Now these organizations have to raise money on their own funds now. And this was in the paper today. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. They took the money and used it for something else, and they had it earmarked for affordable housing. So I don't know how serious they are about affordable housing. They just want to do whatever they want to do. So much for their integrity and morals of our legislature. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Paul. Anyone else for public comment on non-agenda items?
Good evening, Ulrich Katzin. I would like to start with an announcement, personal announcement. A former Oradell resident and Riverdale High School graduate, Elon Katzin, was appointed last night at the Larchmont Town Hall meeting to become the new administrator of the town at age 32. 2 months ago, I announced that he was elected as the acting administrator. Well, last night he was appointed as the administrator, and I wish him good luck. Right now, he's also acting as partial the recreation and event coordinator because they need to. They had a guy that quit, and he needs to fill up his position as well. And I wish him well in his new position. The next thing I want to talk about, and Paul may not let me sit next to him after what I'm going to say, is that unfortunately the real estate market is crazy, and investors need to, if they want to invest and take a property and bring it up to date, the cost of doing that is tremendous. And therefore, sometimes you need to pass that thing on to the tenants that are in those units. I was, as someone who invests in residential units and have tenants, I'm trying to keep the rent reasonable, but whenever there's expense, when they want an update and it costs money, they know that there will be an increase. Recently, I came across a property that was advertised at two-family house at $650,000 in a nearby town. I wanted to invest in that. There was a bidding war. It ended up going for 30% more than the asking price. 30% more. So there's two units, two-family house, $1,500 a rent of unit. Roger here can tell you that $3,000 isn't going to cover $800,000 investment plus rehabilitation of the thing. So the tenants there either going to have to absorb that or move out, and the property will have to be updated, and new tenants will come in at a higher rent. $1,500 for a unit like that is a bargain, but that doesn't bring investors. So if we want this town to have investors come in here, take in old homes, rehabilitate them, make them up to date, bring them up to date, there's a cost for it. And I do support that. I do support those investors to come in, but putting any restriction on them is not going to help.
So is there any consideration for my scenario where we have the 80-year-old resident?
We're taking from his time.
I'm sorry, who lived in it? Is there any that's all on the human level, right?
Yes.
That's what we're asking here. that.
Well, on a human
I get
level,
that you want to max out.
I wish there was a way.
Stop. I'm not going to do dialogue and public comment. So, Ori, please
Okay,
continue.
I'd like to talk to you about that after. I'll text you about this. But and the last thing I want to say is about that tax, the 0.1% tax that you were talking about, Mayor. $207,000. Coming here in the past few months and listening to all the wish list of all department heads of what they're asking for in the millions of dollars that they want, I think that if we just make a little cut in the budgets of those departments and filter out unnecessary things, we're going to save the town maybe 5 times more than that. So that's what I wanted to say. It's not a lot. And we can maybe get that fund allocated, the savings. And like I said a few months ago, 26 towns in New Jersey in 2024 had a lower budget than 2023. I'm waiting for the day that Oradell will be one of those. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations to your son.
Sam Tripsis, 327 Maple Avenue. Tonight you read the proclamation for You Black. Just recently I learned about You Black. Before that, it was just a street name. I often wonder, the streets are named after mayors in Oradell, and you don't always know who that was. But through my research, going to the newspapers and looking at pictures, I'm learning a lot. So I came across 2 pictures recently. You Black here is in 1915 in the Delford baseball team. So in this building, this picture is taken out in front, and he's the second from the right, Finland. And so I'm starting to see, I'm not looking for it, but there it just pops out. And then, so he was a real person, that grew up here and contributed to the community. And here's the Commander Black destroyer, 666, that was named for him. 666, I thought that too. But anyway, if you go in the basement, we have parts of that ship on a big board. And I saw that in pictures in 1969 in the 75th anniversary of Oradell. So it was around at that point. There's a steering wheel on it, and it's got USS Black, the name of the ship, and it's got where it served, in all the Philippines and Vietnam also, and he even mentions World War II. But we have all this in our archives, and you really can learn about the people that came before us, So I just want to point out we have a lot of people that went on to do good things. Whether they be artists or military or politicians even, I look at some of the mayors of the past. Mayor Meyerhoff comes up a lot, but people have said, I've seen the street name, but they didn't really know who it was. One more thing I'd like to bring up. I'm not looking for dialogue like you commented, but my own experience with affordable housing. I lived in an 84-unit apartment complex for 10 years, from 1980 to 1990. Impeccable. Rents were capped, and it was all ages. You had seniors, you had people. I was in my early 20s. Because of that, I was able to save for a house. And today I live in Oradell for 35 years now because of that. So, it works both ways. Everybody talks about the investors. What about the human beings who are going to live in those structures? So we should consider things like that. People have a right to live in certain places. But, I know I'm not going to live in Upper Saddle River, but, there should be towns that you can, such as Oradell. And I'm lucky enough to live here. But because of those 10 years, just me and my wife, and we saved, and we moved to a better place. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Anyone else for public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to open for consent agenda items only.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Paul Sunis, I left the resolution there, but the resolution is the one for the acquiring the lawnmowers from Paramus, the 2 lawnmowers. I'm just questioning, why are they selling them to us? Are they, what kind of condition they're in, or do we have to fix it, or do we have to repair something on it in order to make it work, or we're spending $10,000 for these 2 lawnmowers?
I intend to speak to it in my report.
Okay, thank you so much.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Laura, can we read the correspondence into the file, please?
Number 1 is an email regarding the Little Library zoning request. Number 2 is the notice from the Borough of Paramus for the Planning Board Housing Element Fair Share Plan. Number 3 is the June 2025 Oradell Monthly Police Report.
Thank you. Next item is the adoption of minutes for the meeting of May 27th, 2025.
Mayor, if I may, just on correspondence,
Yes.
number 3, the police report is very helpful. It would be additionally helpful if there was a trend number there in terms of, what happened, whatever, last month or last year in terms of how many speeding tickets or whatever that data that they have. It'd be helpful because me reading it, I'm not getting any kind of context of where we're headed.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
it's, Commissioner Staff and I have talked about this. I've talked about this with now Chief Gangemi. I think we're going to look, that's one of the things that we're looking to improve upon so that it shows movement towards initiatives versus just telling us what happened. That's
Good,
not
thank you.
very useful data, so thanks for raising that. Can I have a motion, or are there any corrections, omissions, or otherwise to be considered the minutes of May 27th? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Staff?
Yeah.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. So for resolutions 25-164 through 25-175, which was added in discussion by the council. Do we have any questions on these resolutions, or would a member of the council like one pulled for further discussion and/or a separate vote?
I just have a question on 25-174. Haig is a cadet firefighter, a junior firefighter?
Yeah, the amended one, there, I did fix it today.
Hang
It's a
What I
junior,
have says cadet.
I believe there was a mistake, so Gavin is a cadet, and Douglas and Haig are both junior firefighters.
Junior? Okay.
Yes, so the resolutions are correct, I believe. I listed
Okay.
it wrong on the agenda.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mayor, 167, if we could, I have some concern about that.
So this is to authorize to advertise. This isn't to hire, this isn't to commit funds, this is just to advertise for the position, which was approved in the 2025 budget.
So we do have budget for it? Okay.
Yeah, and what does that entail? Yeah, if it's moving forward, if we're going to advertise, I'm going to assume that, that we're in the market. So, yeah, I guess I can just, I don't want, if I vote no on that, I don't want to vote no on this, on the slew of,
Pull it.
Mr. Hines,
I can pull it.
can
yeah,
we
but
provide a copy of the job description?
I think it was in the packet.
I have it there,
It's in-
yeah.
okay.
I see it, yeah. I mean, I'm
You want a
just,
separate vote?
I'm not, yes, I'm just
25
not
ones.
necessarily in favor of it right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Anyone have anything else?
And the municipal audit, yeah, just some comments there in 165 that I guess I can reach out. As I mentioned, it's all good there. There's just some thoughts that I have, and specifically about the LoSAP program, which is great, but there's a fair amount of money there, and the administrators, that's sometimes there's some fat in there that can be, negotiated out, et cetera, that I'm not sure if they're getting, maybe they are, but some good advice there that I can chat with those folks about, just to put our current custodian, if you will, in competition, just to save our guys some money if we can. If not, but it's always good to review
Okay.
those things.
So I think we're going to request the auditor to appear before us next month to
That'd be
talk
great.
about the audit.
Good.
And can answer any questions then. So there's no further questions from the council. I would ask for a motion to approve resolutions 25-164 through 25-175, pulling resolution 25-167 for a separate vote.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, I'd now ask for a motion to approve resolution 25-167 to authorize, approve and authorize the advertisement for Recreation Department Program Coordinator.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
No.
Okay. So next is the mayor's report, just to speak to Mr. Sunis's question. The mowers we're acquiring from the borough of Paramus are in excellent shape. I've personally inspected them. They are being replaced by new equipment that costs in excess of $50,000 per mower. We're paying $5,000 per mower for a very well-maintained and recently serviced by the borough of Paramus reel mower. These are to help us improve the mowing of the athletic fields and to allow us to get to a height of turf that is more consistent with league play versus some of the rotary mowers that we have now. Do a great job, but reel mowers do a better job at maintaining turf on athletic facilities. So versus looking to acquire this equipment at the cost of almost $100,000, we're paying 10% of that for secondhand mowers that are in excellent condition. They come from the Paramus Golf Course. I would buy any piece of equipment they want to get rid of because they take care of their stuff extremely well. Next thing I want to talk to is to really just take a minute to thank the council, all the volunteers, and our employees, including police and fire, for really allowing us to have a spectacular fireworks display on July 3rd. We were, if not the only town that had fireworks on the 3rd. Most others canceled due to the weather. But I'd like to say we did it how we planned it, and we had an extremely successful show, and our DPW was out in full force supporting all the infrastructure to set up and clean up after that. And the town really, our rec director and David Torres and Tina Duddy did a really great job in having a wonderful July 4th holiday weekend celebration, including our parade the next day. I was very happy and proud to be out there with my fellow colleagues in the parade and watching the fireworks. Everybody had a blast. All 2 shows, right? It's great. Don't light some off, you get an encore. The Subcommittee on Affordable Housing will be meeting with our special counsel tomorrow as a follow-up to submitting our plan on the 30th and analyzing what our next steps are. So that process is ongoing. And that's all I really have to report this evening. Public Administration, Ordinance, Planning and Zoning, Building and Historic. Council President's not here tonight, but the clerk has a report to read into the record.
Mr. Carnevale provided comments. I'll read into the record. Under Ordinance Committee, there were no actions taken this evening regarding ordinances. However, I will work with the Borough Administrator this week when I am back from my business travel to schedule a meeting for the Ordinance Committee to work on advancing and completing the current open projects. One such project is changing the threshold requirement for coming to the Planning Board or Zoning Board for soil moving applications. The Planning Board has submitted a proposal to the Mayor and Council, and we should act upon that proposal. Under Administration Committee, there are no updates for the Administration Committee, but similar to the Ordinance Committee, I will work with the Borough Administrator to get a meeting scheduled to ensure we are keeping up with all administration-related items. Under Planning Board, the Planning Board met on July 1st and approved 2 applications. One of the applications approved was for the project of 420 Kindercamack Road. Although several residents shared their concerns regarding the overall size of the building and other matters such as the impact on vehicular traffic in the area, the board ultimately decided that the project was in line with the applicable zoning ordinances and associated bulk standards, and therefore supported the application in a 7-1 affirmative vote. The next meeting of the Planning Board is scheduled for Tuesday, August 5th at 7:30 p.m. Under Zoning Board, just a reminder that this month's Zoning Board meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 21st at 7:30 p.m. And finally, under Historic Committee, as a liaison to the Historical Committee, I want to thank Mayor Koth for issuing the proclamation this evening in honor of former Oradell resident Lieutenant Commander Hugh D. Black. That's it.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to Michael, there's one thing I'm remiss in acknowledging, and I do want to acknowledge the Public Safety Committee, Councilman Gullo, Councilman Staff, Councilman Kern, for the tremendous effort that you guys put forth in carrying out our promotional ordinance requirements to get our leadership ranks full. I'm happy that we're doing what we said we're going to do, and I'm happy that we're working towards staffing that department adequately. We all know how much we rely on them, but I don't think most people know the amount of time required to do what we did tonight. And I want to thank you guys for taking the time that you did in evaluating two excellent candidates who are our new leaders collectively of our police department. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Safety Committee did not meet since our last meeting. We do plan to meet next week with Chief Gangemi. We will also be discussing learnings actually from the fireworks, things we want to improve next year. We're going to start memorializing things a lot better. We will also be talking about the rank and file of the police department, and there will be a lot of work ahead of us in the coming months, so more to come. Health did not meet this month, but from what I understand from Borough Administrator Hines is that our Narcan boxes are in, and we'll be putting Narcan in the borough very soon for residents to access. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Library, OPTV, Economic Development, Councilman Tastian.
I have nothing to report as the library meets tomorrow night.
Thank you, sir. DPW, Board of Education, Councilman Kern.
DPW committee hasn't met since the last meeting, and I reached out to our supervisor. He had nothing extra to report on tonight's meeting. We'll have a meeting maybe later this month. And the only thing else I'd like to mention is, as you mentioned before, Mayor, DPW did a great job, not only setting up, but also cleaning up July 4th festivities. So I'd like to thank them and Dan and the whole entire DPW crew for their support. That's all I have.
Thank you, John. Fire, Technology, Communications, and Rec, Councilman Gullo.
I share the sentiments with the council in terms of all the work the borough and its employees did and all the volunteers, so thank you for the July 3rd and 4th festivities. Just one announcement. This Thursday, we kick off our summer concert series at Memorial Field. 7 o'clock, we have the Motown Tribute. All are welcome. And that's our report.
Thank you, Councilman. Finance, Environmental, Beautification, and Seniors, Councilman Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Finance, obviously front and center has been the budgets that we recently passed, the operating capital. Everybody, I think, got in the mail their third quarter tax bill. And again, just to review and just really to state that, this council and the mayor and council worked hard to keep the pressures that we're under. The municipal increase on the assessed on the average home was about $150. The municipal increase, that portion of it, again, that we are a pass-through. That the slice of the pie that we collect is probably 25%, and now that's probably getting smaller. That are most of the funds again go to our schools and go to the county. So. Again, it had to do again out of our control, and I think our tax assessor, he's certainly there anytime as I am, or the CFO and that team, to explain that if anybody has any questions of those tax bills with that. So that's certainly front and center. And again, that this council is working hard to keep it that way. And also to remind folks that there are resources out there on the borough tax website. There are programs in the state for some tax relief Deadlines are in October, so there's still some time. You pay your tax if you qualify. Taxes are frozen for some seniors, and there's some income limits somewhere in the $160,000 range. But to make sure you take care and take advantage of those out there. I think, in speaking to our tax assessor today, to have another open public meeting just for education. There is an office on Fairlawn and Route 208 for Jersey tax. Any questions there, and they'll help you out filling out those forms. So the Environmental and Beautification Committee continues to be active and passive. They got a grant, again, at no cost to the borough, to do some work in front of the library on native plants and native species. So that's, I think, has started already. And that's going to be followed up by 3 open seminars and working meetings being held at the Senior Center. The first one is just July 24th at 5:30 p.m., all about native plants and how to garden and things like that. So it should be a nice learning evening, followed by, I believe there's a concert that night. So hopefully we can go learn about gardens and then head on over to the concert. The plastic bag situation is really wonderfully blossoming. The seniors are now, I'm happy to report that Friendship House, those folks down there have gotten into it and are diligently recycling plastic bags, getting them out of the waterways and things like that for benches. So it's just great to bring that community group in also. And again, just to remind, when I go for my jog in the morning, styrofoam, again, we have collection bins down at DPW. I think it's 30%, amazingly, if that's true, of landfills. Please remember to bring it down there. Seniors continues to be active. Again, we have a dynamic duo of David and Tina leading the effort. I'm happy that we will have the our great senior bus driver, Bill, drive our residents, the seniors, to the performances Thursday night. So it's great that we're getting use out of that van. And we had bagels and bingo recently in the morning, changing up and looking to get a robust schedule that people can rely upon for activities for our seniors. And also, I think, excited about, whenever that happens, the upgrades to the kitchen and making that building, the decor, a little more warmer and inviting. So we're working on that. I'm all for putting up, we have some talented artists, and whether it's Sam's pictures of history in that building. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Kelly.
Okay.
Administrator's report, Mr. Hines.
Yes, the county granted the borough's request to delay the installation of the kitchen equipment for the senior center. This was important. We faced a deadline of June 30th. So the county granted us an extension until September 15th. The reason is delivery delays for the equipment, which was ordered, but it's somewhere in transition. And we expect to have that installed way before the September 15th date. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. Borough Attorney's report.
No report tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Borough Engineer's report, Mr. Atkinson.
Sure.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yes, there is. Just want to update on a couple items. So obviously PSE&G and their contractor Tilcon are in town. They started doing the work on Monday. We're looking at about a 2 to 3 week window for them to get everything completed. We did have a pre-con meeting with them just before the holidays. They did agree to remove Summit from this phase of the project, allowing us time to further evaluate putting some curbing on that particular street. That'll get incorporated into their next phase of project, which they'll be focusing on the east side, doing the gas main work over there. As far as Midland, I know that's obviously a hot item for the borough as well. We have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor tomorrow, so I'll have more information that I can share with you after that meeting as far as when they're going to be getting in to do that work. But I would envision that being taking place probably during August. Those are the main items that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I have 2 questions? If you
Sure
don't mind?
can.
Dave, I just want to make sure that we start the summit discussions immediately so that we're not lagging.
Yeah.
And then 2, I noticed on Woodland Avenue, they've done some fresh digging on at least, I think, 4 or 5 squares, like trenches.
Okay.
I'd be a little concerned now that these are fresh and they're not going to have time to settle before they mill and pave. Can you just look into what happened there and why? I mean, it looks like it happened today or yesterday.
Okay, maybe, that's fine, I can look into it.
If you don't mind. Thank
Sure,
you.
no problem.
Dave, one quick question.
Sure.
Up on East Drive, where Shiraz kind of comes into it, for the last few weeks, there's been an open cutout. And it's still gravel and dirt, so nobody macadams over the top. So you may want to also have them take a look and see who last touched that.
Okay, I can check with Public Works on that too. And then also to update, I forgot, contractor did come in and do the repairs up off of Iroquois in that area related to the concrete work.
I saw that work going on. My bigger concern is why did they open up a road that's on moratorium?
What is that? Oh, this is the other stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, what Michael was questioning.
I'm not sure. Our office doesn't issue those permits.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's it. Maybe it wasn't touched by PSE&G. Maybe ask for a copy, because that's all under them.
No, what I'm saying is that road is under moratorium. I want to know who dug and opened it up and put gravel there.
Right, public service.
Well, let's find out
Figure
from
it
the
out.
building department who would have issued the permit, right?
Yeah, I believe it's building department or Public Works.
Okay. If there's no other business to come before the council tonight, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.